how are the mainstream electro vocals processed so that they sound so wide and blend in with the track?
Well, first you need a good singer. That's number one rule. The good singer will, you can record it with a microphone on your laptop and it will still sound good. That's the most important thing. But nevertheless, the most important thing is definitely the room where you are recording the vocals, the microphone that you are using, and a preamp that you are using. And the AD converter is important, but it's not like that important, with depending what kind of level you want to achieve. So first you find as good singer as possible, then you rent out a studio if you don't have a microphone at home, because you will save a lot of effort at the end. Regarding processing, the principles are more or less the same, and that means that you are using a high pass filter and sort of peak filters to remove the unwanted rumble that may happen. A lot of singers are banging on the floor with their foot, and this all gets transferred through the mic stand, and you can get like sub-info in the microphones. And the next thing is that you use some transient control, and another thing is to use compression to even out the vocals. Personally, in recent times, I use Melodyne a lot, and not for tuning. I use it for tuning if it's really necessary, but with vocals I figured it out that I get the best results in terms of loudness balance of the vocal recording, which can really vary. Some singers have a consistent output, and some singers will have an output which will change like 15 decibels between the verse and the chorus. So what I do is, after the basic cleanup with an EQ, I will import everything in Melodyne and then use volume tool in Melodyne and by hand control the volume of parts of the words, or complete words or just parts of the words, and it takes time. For a song you can easily spend 1 hour just adjusting the volume, but this is manual compression. There is no better compressor than that, because every compressor is an idiot, but because it doesn't know what it's doing, it's just changing the volume. But if you are changing the volume manually, you are doing it in an intelligent way, meaning that you are adapting and you are boosting certain words more because they have a specific meaning in certain spots of the song. So I will balance everything in Melodyne, and without tuning. I use tuning if it's really necessary. Otherwise, I will be really, I will really push the singer as hard as possible. I'm known to be really strict regarding pitch, because I really believe that if you want to be a singer, you need to rehearse. And a lot of singers, they don't rehearse before they get into the studio, and then you spend like valuable time for just something that can be learned at home. So next step, after I have this basic volume control, I will start applying effects. And let me see if I have a session here with vocals, but probably it won't help much, because I didn't expect a question really like that. No, it's not. I don't have anything with vocals at the moment here, but I'm using several reverbs and several delays. The thing is that with vocals, I use so-called object-based processing, meaning that in verse I will process the vocals differently than I will process them in the bridge, and that I will process them in the chorus. Also in the second chorus I may process the vocals differently than in the last chorus. So that means that I will have a different reverb in verse, different reverb in bridge, different reverb in chorus. It may happen, not necessarily. And I tend to use parallel reverbs, meaning that I will have one reverb which is really an ambience type of reverb that can be really, really short, just to make vocal a little bit more lively. And then I may use additional layer of longer reverb, which is more reverb sounding. And then I may also use a delay. And then I will automate all those reverbs in the song. How to get them wide? Wideness is usually done by multi-tracking vocals, meaning that you multi-track the same phrase over and over, and you do some sort of backing vocals. You pen them hard left, hard right, and sometimes a lot of producers use like stereoizers. Recently, especially with the EDM productions, they use like chorus stereoizer, short delays. There is like many options how to make things wide, but in majority of cases the biggest wideness will be achieved by a good vocal and by a good reverb and by a right balance between the reverb and the vocal and the positioning of the vocal in the mix. One really cool trick that a lot of people forget to use is that you start mixing from the vocal. So with electronic music or urban music, people tend to mix the kick, the bass, the snare, the beat. They do everything. And of course, because they're working on that, they consume 100% of available space to make the beats sound great. And then they try to push in the vocal and there is no space left. So, and then they are usually lowering everything down so they have space for the vocal. And this is usually not a good way to do it. It's much better, if this is not working, try mixing only with the vocal and just use a bass line or a main harmonic instrument as a bass, so it's not boring to mix the vocal, and make the vocals sound great, like they sound phenomenal on their own. And when you have this phenomenal sounding solo vocal track, then start mixing other sounds and adopt frequency ranges and energy so they will blend together. And this means that you will build your mix around the vocal, not the other way around, that you build the mix and then you try to squeeze the vocal in. It's working, really. Try it out. It's a little bit awkward, but maybe the first time you won't get it right, but sometimes this is the solution.
Great, thank you for the tip.